Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay, and today I'm going to be talking about triple Tauntauns. And is this a new top tier list? Spoiler, it probably is, and I think ultimately that is a good thing. But before we discuss that, I was going to say and more, but we probably won't be discussing much more. If at the end of this video you like the video, do press like. It really does help if you do that, as does if you're interested in Star Wars Legion. Please subscribe, as that also really does help. Also, big thank you to anybody who went over to my Terrain channel and subscribed there. I think I gained like 200 odd subscribers just from posting that video, so honestly I do really appreciate that. So yeah, triple Tauntauns. Before we have a look at them and what have you, essentially I would like to make this clear that I don't think this is a doomsday scenario. Just because there's a list here that is quite good, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. If anything, it's nice to have a little bit of a shake-up in the meta, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that this list is the dominator. I know, I think on the Discord at the minute, people are memeing, being like, triple Tauntauns, oh, everybody's going to claim that they're OP. They're probably just top tier, but not necessarily OP. And we'll talk about potential lists and why that might be the case. So triple Tauntauns, I'll just show you. I'll just show you. So these are what the Tauntauns are like, right? So I'm using the what am I using here? The Tabletop Admiral. It's just been updated actually, and we'll have a look at the Tauntaun directly. 90 points. You get 2 of them for 90 points, and they've got 4 wounds each, 2 suppression. They surge to hit. They surge on the defense. They have white defense dice though. But you can see they've got 2 red attack dice with range 1 to 2, 2 black, 1 white on the melee, but they do have Ram 1, which changes any dice to a critical, by the way. And they've got Agile 1, so once you move them, you get a dodge. Relentless means you can basically move twice and shoot or attack. It's like charge, essentially. Reposition helps you keep them, aligned. Sharpshooter 1's going to help you ranged attacking, and unhindered means you're going to get to where you need to get to quite quickly, right? All in all, that's pretty good, isn't it? Like, I think also these are probably better versions of the speeder bikes. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, you can sort of see, you can imagine that. So why would you run 3 of them? Because essentially it makes sense. If you're going to min max, if you think something is really good in its slot for its points, then you take as many of them as you can. Just essentially it boils down to that. But look at these guys. They've got speed 3, so they're going to get where they need to essentially by turn 2. And in that first turn, you might even be able to get a 4 red dice shot off with Sharpshooter 1. Like, it's tasty. It's very tasty. As I said, again, caveat, I'm not claiming this to be overpowered. I'm just claiming this to be essentially like a reasonably top tier list. And the proof's in the pudding. As I said, it's been winning a couple of Rally Point qualifiers. I know the Leeds one was won by Ellis. And it was actually Ellis Nicky in the final with very similar to list to what I'm going to show you today. And I think one was won, I think maybe in Canada, using triple Tauntauns. Keep in mind that generally when something new comes out, people want to run it anyway. And these guys are cool. Whether or not they'll be the dominating factor for a long run, perhaps not. When you consider, we're getting a different Luke, different Vader, we're going to get the Clone Wars factions, etc. So I'm not here to claim that this is going to be long term, but I think it's definitely a top tier solid list. And I'll just show you an example what you might. I literally made this 2 minutes before starting this video, just looking at them. And by the way, I think tenacity on them could be pretty good. Gives you that if you are wounded, you get an extra red dice. So you could be looking at a ram with like 4 black, 2 white, and a red. Yeah, I can imagine that for 4 points. Seems okay to me. I think Ellis was rocking just Leia, and I think that's essentially because there's so many other things that you want. That keeping your commanders cheap is fine. I could imagine commanding presence with range, increasing your range for your orders to 4 could be good. Strict orders is always a classic for 5 points. Esteemed leader if you really, really want to keep her alive. And obviously she's got bombard. What's it called for her? Can't remember what it's called. The one where you just blast everybody on turn 1. And yeah, so then followed there, you can easily go into Rebel Troopers, 5 of them, throw in a medical droid if you want to throw in a medical droid. It's up to you, basically, at this stage. But you can easily fit 5 of those guys in, 5 Rebel Troopers with the Z6. Pretty standard stuff right there. Rebel Commandos, the 2 snipers, easy. You could probably fit in 3 if you wanted to drop a Z6 or something like that. Your choice if you want to do that. And then the bad boys themselves, the Tauntauns. 3 of them, I put all with tenacity. You could easily just not give them upgrades. It's it would be perfectly reasonable. But yeah, like something like that. You get 11 activations there, 5 core troopers, 2 snipers, 3 tauntauns, and then Leia. That's 11 activations. That's a tasty list, if you ask me. I think Tauntauns might be a little bit more finessey. Like, you can just ram it down into your opponent's throat kind of thing. Just charge, get in there. But I think ultimately, I think knowing when to do that and when not to do that and where to do that in comparison to your enemy's list probably requires skill. So I think this is a top tier list that possibly requires skill, unless, and I could be completely wrong, just ramming it straight at them works very well. But you could very easily imagine maybe picking off units on the flank and then like working your way in, because you know they're not going to get shot at everybody if they're on the flank, etc. So I could definitely foresee something like I can definitely see a way that these would be good to use. And I can see, like, you know, as I said, you could just pick off units very easily because you'll move three, free attack. With RAM, I mean, it's strong, isn't it? You're already converting your surges to hits. Now you're converting a blank to a crit. I mean, that RAM, by the way, for those of you who didn't know, that's what it does. It converts any dice to a crit. So if it's a blank, it can convert it to a crit. Strong, right? That's the good keyword. And the fact it's got 8 wounds, yeah, they've got a suppression. So you could maybe take the is it endurance, the one where you can take a suppression off? Like, I could see that, just so you definitely make sure you're going to get 2 actions. But really, I think they're just going to be strong. So, I mean, there's not much more to really say about this list. I mean, if you're going to rock 3 Tauntauns, there's not much else you're going to put in your list. Like, you're going to want snipers. Everybody wants snipers. So 3 Tauntauns, 2 snipers, fine. You're going to want core troopers. At the moment, I know the Z6s work. I'm not sure about Rebel veterans. I don't know. I don't know. Like, if you'd actually want to run them over a Z6, unless you're going to use the mortar upgrade and stuff like that. So, I personally at the moment wouldn't run the Z6, run the veterans over the Z6. But you know, maybe for you, maybe that's something you want to try. So if you're going to just stick with the Z6, well, you can get in 5 Z6s, so that's pretty good. And then your commander, you are a little bit short on points. It's not the kind of list where you'd necessarily be able to run Luke Leia. You'd have to really cut down somewhere if you're going to do that. But yeah, I think ultimately it's a reasonably strong list that I think is top tier, right? I think, and at least, by the way, for those of you, he agrees with me, and he's a better player than I am. Nicky's running it. If they're running it, they run it for a reason. Now, they would have probably come first and second at that IPQ without 3 Tauntauns. I'm fairly sure Nicky would have been up there with 3 speeder bikes. So that's not necessarily an indication of anything. 2 IPQs or however many IPQs it's been that they've won isn't necessarily, an obvious signal. It's just a potential. And I think when you look at them, you think, yeah, they're strong. Now that they're winning events and stuff like that, you think, yeah, that backs that up. I don't think the meta is doomed. And if anything, you've got to say, as I mentioned before, when something like this happens where one unit is strong, it makes sense that you're going to want to max them. You want to min-max it. It's a classic phrase, isn't it? You want to take as many as you can and get rid of the stuff that doesn't do it for you. So I do think, like, the game as a whole has an issue where, imagine if there's a new core trooper that was so good it was the best one by far, you'd want to buy 6 of them. And it makes sense. But I think that's always going to be the case at the top level of most things. 40k, all the other games are going to be like that. You're going to want the things that do the best. Stands to reason, right? At this stage, I'm not even sure I'm going to keep collecting Rebels. I think Rebels are the faction that's getting the cut. And maybe one of the new factions is going to get in, along with my Imperials. But yeah, so triple Tauntauns, it's just to say I think they're a top tier list, and it's good because the Rebels were really suffering. Like, they didn't have that many options, really, when you think about it. They had Luke Leia, yeah, great. Sabine had brought in, I think we were seeing a lot of Sabine Luke or Sabine Leia. Sabine was good, but the rest was sort of meh, meh. And it's now nice that we have possibly just a solo Leia with triple Tauntauns, because I'm not sure what else you would run. But that's nice to see that there's another way of playing that faction. And for the Imperials, well, they've now got Krennic and Bosk and Death Troopers, and they're sort of running a little bit differently sometimes as well. So I think all in all, it's good news. I'm very intrigued what's going to happen with the Clone Wars, but I think we're not going to find out for a couple of months until they get properly up and running. So let me know your thoughts on the triple Tauntauns. Have you bought Tauntauns? Have you played with them? Do you think they're strong? If you're just rocking one unit, are you finding they're not doing enough? But maybe if you had 3 of them, maybe you think, they'd be powerful. Let me know how you've got on. I haven't personally played with them. It's just feedback and looking at the cards that make me think, they possibly are top tier. Other than that, have a most beautiful day. As I said, thanks for checking out my terrain channel. If you were interested, there's probably a link in the description, something like that. It's called Terrain Oddity, so you can probably find it. Have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.